You know, Emma, I had a conversation yesterday with a really bright student, and it just broke my heart a little bit. She was so frustrated, almost in tears, saying, "Andrew, I study grammar every day. My sentences are perfect, but when I speak, people still look at me like I'm saying something weird, like I'm not making sense, even though I know the words are right."
Oh, wow. That hits home, Andrew. I hear that so often from learners, and honestly, sometimes even I struggle to put my finger on asterisk why it sounds weird when the grammar is correct. It's such a common pain point. Welcome everyone to SpeakCast English, where we tackle these exact frustrations. I get that. I remember trying to learn Vietnamese, and I'd meticulously construct a sentence in my head, making sure all the tones were perfect, all the particles were in the right place. Then I'd say it, and the person would just stare, or they'd repeat it back to me slightly different, and suddenly it sounded so much more right, and I'd think, but my way was grammatically correct.
Oh, Emma, that's such a perfect example. You're feeling what so many of our listeners feel every single day. They're so focused on getting the grammar right, and rightly so, it's important, but they miss this whole other layer of communication. It's like building a beautiful house, but forgetting to make the doors wide enough for people to walk through comfortably.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about being understood, is it? It's about feeling confident. It's about feeling like you're truly connecting with the other person. Because when you say something, and you know it's grammatically correct, but you still see that little flicker of confusion in their eyes, or they just don't react the way you expect, it makes you want to just stop talking.
Absolutely. That feeling of, why isn't this working, can be incredibly isolating and discouraging. And for Vietnamese learners especially, there are some very specific reasons why this happens. It's not a lack of intelligence or effort. It's often a direct result of how they've learned English, and the natural differences between Vietnamese and English communication styles.
Tell me more about that, Andrew. What are some of those specific reasons you see? Because from my side, I just hear something that doesn't quite sound native, but I can't always articulate why.
Well, let me tell you about a common one. It's what I call direct translation syndrome. Vietnamese is a very concise language. You can convey a lot with very few words, and the context often does a lot of the heavy lifting. So, when a Vietnamese learner translates directly, word for word, into English, it often sounds a little blunt, or sometimes even a bit rude or just simply unnatural.
Really? Even if the words themselves are correct?
Oh, definitely. Imagine if someone said to you, "You eat rice," instead of "Are you hungry?" or "Have you eaten?" The literal translation is, "You eat rice," and it's grammatically a question, but it's not how we'd naturally ask that in English. Or, another one, "I very like it." Grammatically, it's understandable, but "I really like it" or "I like it a lot" sounds much more natural. The very is often placed differently or replaced.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's like the meaning is there, but the asterisk flavor is off, like using salt when you really need sugar or vice versa.
Exactly, the flavor is off. And that's a huge part of what makes English sound natural. The flavor, the nuance, the unsaid parts that native speakers pick up on. We don't just speak words, we speak with rhythm, with emphasis, with implied meanings.
So, it's almost like learning a secret code that isn't written in the grammar books. How do you even begin to unlock that? Because it feels like such a huge, intangible thing.
It does feel huge, but it's totally learnable. We're going to break it down today. The first thing we need to understand is that natural English isn't just about what you say, but how you say it. And a big part of that how is understanding the asterisk feeling behind the words.
The feeling? Can you give me an example?
Okay, so let's take a simple phrase. Someone asks you how your day was. A common grammatically correct answer from a learner might be, "My day was busy," which is fine, it's correct, but a native speaker might say, "Oh, my day was crazy busy," or Man, it was a asterisk wild day, or it was pretty good actually, just a asterisk bit hectic. See the difference?
I do. It's like the first one is just information, but the others give you a sense of their experience of the day.
Precisely. They're adding a layer of emotion, of personal interpretation, with just a slightly different word choice or a small adverb. The grammar is still correct, but the impact is totally different. They're not just reporting facts, they're sharing a feeling.
So it's not just about finding the asterisk right word, but finding the word that conveys the asterisk right feeling for that situation. But what if you're not sure what feeling to convey? Or what if you don't have the vocabulary for those subtle feelings?
That's a fantastic question, Emma, and it brings us to our first technique, beyond the dictionary, tuning into the emotional resonance of words. It's not enough to know a word's definition. You need to know its vibe. Let me tell you a story. I was at a cafe once, and a student was ordering. She wanted to say she was satisfied with her coffee, meaning it was good, she liked it. But she said very politely, "I am full."
Oh no.
Exactly, and the barista just looked at her, confused, because "I am full" usually means, "I've eaten enough food, I can't eat anymore." She meant, "I'm content" or "I'm happy with it." The grammar was perfect. "I am full" is a perfectly correct sentence, but the asterisk feeling it conveyed was completely wrong for the context.
That's wild. So, if I'm a learner, how do I start to understand that vibe or feeling of words beyond just their dictionary definition? Because the dictionary won't tell you, use full for food, use content for satisfaction.
That's where active listening comes in. When you hear native speakers, don't just listen for the words. Listen for the asterisk situation they're in. Listen for their tone of voice. How are they feeling? Are they excited, annoyed, happy? And then what words are they choosing to express that feeling? For example, think about the word annoyed. You could say, "I am annoyed," correct. But a native speaker might say, "That's so frustrating," or "I'm a little miffed about that." Same core feeling but different shades, different intensities.
So, it's like building a mental database of words and their associated situations and emotions. That makes sense. It's not about learning more words, but learning more about the words you already know.
Exactly, it's about adding depth to your vocabulary. So for our listeners, try this. Next time you encounter a new word or even a word you think you know, don't just look up the definition. Look for example sentences. Better yet, watch a movie or a YouTube video where that word is used. How is the actor saying it? What's their facial expression? What's the context?
That's a great tip. It's like becoming a detective for emotions in language.
Yes, a language detective. Now, let's try a quick one, Emma. I'll say a phrase, and I want you to repeat it, but really try to feel the emotion. I'm just so tired today.
I'm just so tired today.
Now you try it at home. Really feel that weariness.
Okay, I can see how that immediately makes it sound more natural. It's not just the words, it's the whole package.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our second technique, which is related to that whole package. The rhythm and melody of English. Stress and intonation. Vietnamese is a tonal language, so the tone of a word changes its meaning. English isn't tonal, but it has a very distinct rhythm and melody through stress and intonation. And if you speak English without that rhythm, it can sound flat or again weird.
So, it's not just about pronouncing each word clearly, but how the words flow together. But isn't that really hard to learn? Like, do I need to learn music to learn English?
No, not music, but it's like learning a song. Every language has its own song. In English, we stress certain words in a sentence, and that stress changes the meaning. Let me give you an example. Say the sentence, "I didn't say he stole the money."
I didn't say he stole the money.
Okay, now what if I stress I didn't say he stole the money. What does that imply?
It implies someone else said it, but you didn't.
Perfect. Now what if I stress stole? I didn't say he stole the money.
Oh, so maybe he took it, but he didn't steal it. Like he borrowed it without asking.
You got it. See how just changing the stress on one word completely shifts the nuance, the implied meaning, the feeling of the sentence. Learners often speak with very even stress because they're focusing on pronouncing each word correctly, but that makes it harder for native speakers to understand what the asterisk most important part of your message is.
That's wild. I honestly never thought about it that way. I always just assumed if you said the words correctly, people would understand, but it's like the stress is a spotlight pointing to the key information.
It really is. Think of it like a conductor leading an orchestra. The conductor tells the musicians which instruments to play louder, which softer, which to emphasize. English speakers do that naturally with their voices. So the trick here is to listen for the emphasis. Where's the spotlight when you're listening? Pay attention to which words native speakers naturally make a little bit louder, a little bit longer, or higher in pitch. That's usually where the new information or the important emphasis is.
So, when I'm listening to a podcast or watching a show, I shouldn't just focus on the vocabulary, but also on the asterisk melody of the sentences. And then, when I'm speaking, I should try to imitate that melody.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to exaggerate it a little when you're practicing. It might feel silly at first, but that's how you build the muscle memory. Let's try another one. I really want to go to the beach this weekend. Stressing really.
I really want to go to the beach this weekend.
Practice that enthusiasm. Feel the desire for the beach.
Okay, that felt a little dramatic, but I can see how it makes the sentence come alive.
Perfect. It's about bringing your words to life. Now our third technique builds on this, embracing the messy bits, common phrases, fillers, and contractions. Many learners are taught to speak very formally and concisely. They avoid contractions, they avoid filler words like you know or like, and they stick to very direct sentence structures. But that's not how native speakers talk in everyday conversation.
But my English teacher always told me to be concise and avoid fillers. She said they make you sound uneducated or unsure.
And she's not wrong for formal writing or presentations, but in natural, spontaneous conversation, those messy bits are actually what make you sound natural. They're like the glue that holds our thoughts together while we're speaking. Think about it, when you're talking to a friend, do you always speak in perfectly constructed, concise sentences?
Definitely not. I say like way too much, and you know, and I interrupt myself, and I start sentences over.
Exactly. Those are all natural parts of spoken English. Contractions like I'm, you're, don't, can't are essential. If you always say I am instead of I'm, it sounds stiff, almost robotic. And filler words like well, you know, I mean, sort of, kind of, they buy you time to think. They signal to the listener that you're still formulating your thought, and they make the conversation flow more smoothly.
So, avoiding them actually makes you sound less natural, even if you're trying to be correct. That's such a paradox.
It is. It's a huge paradox that trips up so many learners. They're aiming for perfection, but naturalness often involves a little imperfection, a little spontaneity. So the technique here is to listen for the connectors. How do natives fill the gaps? Pay attention to how native speakers link their ideas, how they hesitate, how they introduce new thoughts. They don't just jump from one perfectly formed sentence to the next.
So, instead of thinking of them as bad habits, I should think of them as natural conversation tools.
Precisely. They're tools for smooth conversation. Let's try an example. Well, you know, I think it's kind of a difficult situation, to be honest.
Well, you know, I think it's kind of a difficult situation, to be honest.
Give it a go. Try to blend those words together. Feel the flow.
That felt much more comfortable to say than trying to just string together individual words.
and that comfort translates to confidence. Our final technique, and this one is a bit more subtle, is listening for the unsaid, implied meaning and cultural nuances. This is where direct translation from Vietnamese often falls short, because Vietnamese culture has a lot of implied politeness and indirectness that doesn't always translate directly to English.
Oh, interesting. Can you give me an example of that? Because I often hear learners being very direct, and sometimes it can come across a little strong, I guess.
Exactly. For instance, in Vietnamese culture, it's very common and polite to ask someone, "Ăn cơm chưa?" which means, "Have you eaten rice yet?" It's a warm greeting, a way to show care. But if you translate that directly to English, "Have you eaten rice yet?" it sounds like you're interrogating them about their meal choices, or maybe even judging them.
Oh, I can totally see that. It would sound really odd. Like, why are you so concerned about my rice intake?
Right. A native English speaker would probably say something like, "Hey, how are you doing?" or "What's up?" or "Are you hungry?" if they were actually concerned about food. The intention behind "Ăn cơm chưa" is kindness and connection, but the direct translation loses that cultural nuance. So the technique here is to observe the social dance. How do natives build rapport? Pay attention to how native speakers initiate conversations, how they make requests, how they offer help, how they decline invitations. It's often more indirect or uses different softening phrases than a direct translation would.
So, it's not just about the words, but the asterisk social function of the words. Like, understanding that a question about eating might actually be a greeting, and then finding the asterisk English equivalent greeting, rather than the asterisk English equivalent words.
You've hit the nail on the head, Emma. It's about understanding the asterisk purpose behind the communication, and then finding the natural English way to achieve that purpose. It requires a bit of cultural empathy, I think. You have to step into the shoes of a native speaker and ask, how would they express this intention?
This is so much deeper than just grammar rules. It's like learning a whole new way of thinking and feeling through language.
It is, and that's what makes it so rewarding when you start to get it. It's about truly connecting, not just exchanging information.
Okay, Andrew, this has been incredibly insightful. So, if I had to pick just one thing to focus on this week, to try and make my English sound less weird and more natural, I think I'm going to really focus on the rhythm and melody of English. I'm going to try to listen for that spotlight when I'm watching my favorite shows, and then when I speak, I'm going to try to exaggerate the stress a little, just to see if it makes a difference. I want to feel that natural flow.
That's a fantastic choice, Emma. The rhythm makes such a huge difference to how natural you sound. And for all of you listening at home, here's your challenge for this week. Pick one of these techniques we talked about today. Whether it's tuning into the emotional resonance of words, listening for the rhythm and stress, embracing those messy bits like contractions and fillers, or observing the social dance of implied meaning, just pick one and really focus on it.
Don't try to do everything at once, just one thing.
Exactly, just one. And observe, listen, and try to imitate. You'll be amazed at the difference it makes.
This has been such a helpful conversation, Andrew. I feel like I have a clearer path now.
My pleasure, Emma. It's a journey, and every step, even a small one, brings you closer to sounding and feeling more natural in English.
So, to recap, we talked about tuning into the emotional resonance of words, understanding the rhythm and melody of English through stress and intonation, embracing the messy but natural parts like fillers and contractions, and finally, listening for the unsaid, the implied cultural nuances.
All designed to help you bridge that gap between grammatically correct and truly natural-sounding English. We really hope this helped you feel understood and gave you some practical tools to try out this week.
We'd love to hear from you. In the comments below, tell us, what's one specific phrase or situation where you've noticed your English sounds weird, even though you know the grammar is correct? We really want to know your experiences.
Your stories help us understand what you're going through, and that helps us make better content for you. We're so glad you joined us today. It really means a lot. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Keep practicing.
All right, that's a wrap for today. Seriously though, which part of this felt most real to you?
Drop your answer in the comments. And if this helped you, like this video and subscribe. We post new episodes every single day.
This has been SpeakCast English. Thanks for listening. Keep practicing, keep pushing, and we'll see you in the next one.